All right, let's go ahead and get started on The Value of Skepticism by Bertrand Russell. For the purposes of this class, we will only be dealing with half of Bertrand Russell's opus. I have highlighted the bottom half of this essay. The portion that is highlighted does not need to be part of the summary or the arguments or used in any way. I've kept it here so that you can read it if you wish. But for the purposes of the essay, the summary, the discussion, you don't have to go into it. You can, if you'd like, but I think the most fruitful parts of this essay for our purposes are the first part, the part that's not highlighted. So please concentrate on that portion. I've underlined the thesis statement for Bertrand Russell. He didn't do it. Apparently he didn't get the memo that the thesis is supposed to be underlined. But it's basically, it's undesirable to believe a proposition when there is no ground whatever for supposing it true. That's the ball game. That's everything with this. Everything, Bertrand Russell does a fantastic job of setting every paragraph up with a topic sentence and everything supporting that thesis. So it really is a very fantastic essay in that sense. If you just concentrate on the topic sentences and the thesis, everything else falls in line. It becomes very easy to read. I know it's not easy to read. It's from 1928. It's archaic. The language is different. He cracks himself up telling little jokes. And I don't think they're funny. Maybe you do. I don't know. But when you're going through the essay, the best way to do this is just keep in mind at all points that the basic thesis on this is that if there's no proof for something, you shouldn't believe it. That's it. Now, we're writing an essay in which we're going to utilize Bertrand Russell's ideas, and we're going to find something in society that we wish people were more skeptical about, and we're going to use Bertrand Russell's ideas as a lens on the ideas that we're arguing against. So already we have a maxim. Already we have part of that lens. If there's no reason to believe it, then you shouldn't believe it. That's the thesis. Now we get into the second paragraph, and he starts talking about Pyrrho, the father of Pyrrhoism. For some reason, a lot of students love to give a lot of background information on Pyrrho. They'll take up an entire page in their essay talking about Pyrrho and his little adventure. It's not necessary. Pyrrho is in Bertrand Russell's essay for one reason. And that's because Pyrrho is the ultimate skeptic. We have a continuum of skepticism. We have Pyrrho, the absolute most skeptic person ever in the history. And then on the other side, we have the least skeptical people, people that aren't skeptical about anything. And so Bertrand Russell sets up this continuum, and he says he's right here in the middle. That's the point of it. He's a moderate skeptic. And that's the degree of skepticism which Bertrand Russell advocates. And he says as much in this second paragraph. So, the very last sentence in the second paragraph, he says, on this ground, I feel justified in claiming that I advocate a middle position. He's right there in the middle. Now, what I suggest, for the purposes of digesting this, read through this entire thing, come back and watch the video again. It'll make more sense. So you got the thesis, we've got Pyrrho, who just kind of locates the level of skepticism which Bertrand Russell advocates. Now after this, all you're doing is looking for anything that you can utilize in your essay. So if you find him saying, hey, I think if something can be sufficiently proven, you should believe it. That might be something that you quote, parenthetically cite, and throw into your essay as you start to discuss what you wish people were more skeptical about. He even says, these propositions may seem mild. If accepted, they would absolutely revolutionize human life. Why? You need to be able to understand, why would a higher degree of skepticism by the general population revolutionize everything? That should be obvious, but you need to figure that out, okay? Now, he does make some dubious claims, and you can find these dubious claims and say, I don't know if I necessarily believe that. You know, if he says, the opinions for which people are willing to fight and persecute belong in 3 classifications which this skepticism condemns. Look at those. Figure that out. He says, you know, hey, if you're passionate about something, that means you don't have rational reason to believe in it. You can ask yourself, do you believe that? Do you think you've ever been passionate about something that you didn't have strong reason to believe in it? And you might say, yeah, I disagree with him on this. And that's fine. Challenge reading. You don't always have to agree. Just because somebody printed it 100 years ago doesn't mean we have to advocate it today. So, read through this essay. Find anything that you can utilize as an argument for people to be more skeptical. Or find reasons why you can say, you know, even though Bertrand Russell says if you are passionate about it, which people are here, then that means they have no rational reason to believe in it, and I disagree with them. You can disagree with them in the paper as well. So, figure out what parts on this work. You know, if he comes up with something like, hey, when all the experts agree, what is it? When the experts agree, the opposite opinion cannot be held to be certain. When they are not agreed, no opinion can be regarded as certain by a non-expert. And when they all hold that no sufficient grounds for a positive opinion exist, the ordinary man would do well to suspend his judgment. That might be something you utilize as well right there in paragraph number 3. You don't have to dig very deep in this, Bertrand Russell's work, to find the things that you want to utilize. Again, read through it, take some notes, find out what you can use to argue for the paper, and I'll go into a little bit about what's expected on the paper in another video. Thanks.